going through that, understanding what kids are going through today, but also now understanding what their parents are going through as they're sending their kids to school. I understand what that means, what all those things mean, so that I can make effective decisions for them, so I can lead, so I can represent them. You really got to understand where people are and where they're coming from.
Today, I'm joined by Neal Martin, lifelong Fort Smith resident, director of informational technology, husband, father, man of faith, and on the Fort Smith Board of Directors, position 7 at large. We'll talk about his personal journey, leadership, career, public service, and his vision for the future of Fort Smith. Tell us a little bit about your upbringing and what shaped you into the person you are today.
Well, like you said, I was born here. Now, I'm not a lifelong resident.
Oh man, I missed that.
Well, so I was born here. I went to Woods, Chaffin, Southside. I was, Fort Smith School District guy. Spent a year at West Ark when it was West Ark. But then after my first year, my freshman year, I went to Fayetteville and graduated from Fayetteville. And so when I graduated, I was like, what do I want to do? Or where do I want to go? And I was kind of ready to get out of Arkansas. And so I ended up moving up to Kansas City. I took a job out of school with a software company up in Kansas City and spent about 11 years up there, and then got the opportunity to come back home and jumped at it about 2010.
What kind of brought you into public service and your decision to run for board of directors?
So you just finished Leadership Fort Smith.
Sure did.
And I don't know if they still do this, but I went through Leadership Fort Smith in 2014, I believe. It was the best class, by the way.
Ours was legendary, just so you know.
So in that, they say, what are you going to do with this? I don't know, do they still do that?
Yes.
So what are you going to do with this? And I had done a little bit of politics in Kansas. So I lived on the Kansas side of Kansas City. And I kind of enjoyed it. I kind of liked it. And so when we were going through Leadership Fort Smith, they said, what are you going to do with this? And I was like, I'm going to run for board of directors. And so I did. And, I ran once and I lost. And it took, literally probably 2 years to recover. Not necessarily just because you're upset about it. It's just it was so draining. We worked so hard. And going into election day, I was like, I've won this thing. And it turned out not to be the case. And we had a good showing, but I was going up against George Katsavis, George Katsavis, everybody knows the Katsavis. And so I lost, and it took a long time to kind of just get through it, like to just recover physically and just kind of be like, okay, I can do this again. But probably after about 2 years, there was an at-large spot that opened. And I was like, listen, I can't waste all the work that I did 2 years ago, trying to get name recognition, trying to differentiate myself, trying to share to people who I am. I can't waste that and not run again. And so I did, and I didn't have an opponent. I got elected unopposed, and so that's how I'm here. That's how I got here. So it was really Leadership Fort Smith asking, what do you want to do? What are you going to do with this? Where are you going to take it? And so I said, this is what I wanted to do. I kind of had the political bug, and so I jumped at it.
Well, your family has a unique story.
Yeah.
That includes adoption.
Mm-hmm.
Do you mind kind of telling us a little bit about
Yeah.
that process and what kind of led y'all to that decision?
Yeah, when I moved to Kansas City, I knew one guy there. It was my buddy Martin Pence. He was a guy I knew in Fayetteville at the University of Arkansas, and so he was the only person that I knew. And I don't know if other people go through this, but when you graduate college and you move into adult life, it's like, what do you do? Like after Friday, what do you do? Like, what do you do at night? What do you do? I didn't have a girlfriend, so I'm like, what do we do? And we were like, hey, we just get together, we'll go we'll go hang out. And it was all his work friends. I didn't know a bunch of people, but we would go and hang out. He's the only guy I knew, so I went with him. And it was there I met my wife. So we had our first 3 when we were up there. So we had a boy and then 2 girls. And then right about that time, we got the opportunity to move back. So about 2010. So we had 3 of our kids. So we moved back home, and we kind of felt like we weren't done yet. And so we had another one. We had our 11-year-old or 12-year-old. She just turned 12. And then my wife comes to me and she's like, this is, a few years after we have our youngest, maybe 2 years after we have our youngest. She says, I think we need to adopt, or I think we need to become foster parents. And I was like, what? And she's like, yeah, I think we need to do it. And so we kind of started exploring, going through that process. And we knew, like, through our church was really talking about adoption and foster care. And there's a massive need in our state. So that's probably why we hear about it more. So we kind of just kept going through that process. We got affiliated with the Call, which they train people to become foster parents. And so probably about October of 2017, we had finally gone through all of our training, the home visit. They got to make sure that we're not cooking meth or something in the house, and you just make sure that everything's good. We have to make changes. We can't. You got to have those little locks on all your drawers and all that kind of stuff.
Because you never know really what age you're gonna be
So
receiving, right?
we talked about, we wanted to make sure they were younger than our youngest.
Okay.
And so that's what we said. We said 2 and under. And so we had a few kids come through over the next couple of years, and then we had a little girl come to us, Elizabeth, and she came to us, and we had her for a while, and just like normal, we thought there'd be somebody to come, and Mom ended up getting her back. So we had her in our house. Mom was on drugs, and so she got clean, and she went back to her mom. And we always knew, we always had something in our head. I don't know if this is God telling us to do this, but we're always like, we need to make sure that we stay in touch, because mom needs to know that if she needed to call us, that we could be available. We even have so at one point when she was back with her mom, Mom went into rehab again. And so Elizabeth and her now little sister were living in rehab, and this was during COVID. And we had stayed in touch with Mom, and we called her up and said, hey, do you mind if we take Elizabeth and she comes swims with us at our house? And so she came, and we got to pick her up, and just really, it's not a place for a kid. But she was with her mom, and the goal of foster care is reunification with parents. So we wanted to make sure that everything was good. So we got Elizabeth and got her, came over. She swam. She loves my youngest daughter. She loves our kids. Just had a great time, and we took her back, and she was with Mom. And so she stayed with Mom for a little bit, but eventually Mom just couldn't keep it together, and ended up getting back into drugs. And we got a call from the caseworker and said, hey, Elizabeth, we're going to have to pull her. And so they did, and they brought her over. And at that time, it wasn't just Elizabeth, it was her younger sister. So we had her younger sister with us. So for a period of time, we had both of them. So at that point, we're a family of, I think, 6 kids at that point. So we had our 4, Elizabeth, and then her little sister. And so eventually through that process, we found out that her little sister, her father wanted to take her, wanted to pull her into his house. And so that worked out. And so Elizabeth is with us, and it just kind of worked out that she was going to be up for adoption. And so we're like, yeah, we want her. We want her to be a part of the family. She's been with us since maybe she's about 2, off and on. And so we wanted her to be a part of the family, and she wanted to. She loves being a Martin, and so a few years later we adopted her, and it's been great. Seeing some of the things that these kids do is tough. That these kids go through is pretty tough, but being able to to show them a little bit of what love is, and then being able to adopt. I mean, it's been really great. Elizabeth she's all Martin now. I mean, she's brown haired, which I guess it gets. I'm gray hair now. I used to be brown haired, but she kind of looks like a Martin. I mean, she kind of acts like a Martin. She's ornery like a Martin, but it's been a great fit for us, and it's been good to kind of see where she came from and where she is today. And she knows that she's adopted, and she'll talk about, every now and then she would talk about her mom, and she would mention her by name. She wouldn't call her mom; she would call her by her first name, and but she understands that. We don't shy away from telling her that, and she knows it. But she's all Martin now, and she loves being a Martin. She's fit in well, and it's been really a good story. It's been a good story.
I think that's amazing. When we lived in another city, one of the church we attended, what was part of the on-call, and actually in Hot Springs.
Yeah.
And a lot of families there did some fostering.
Yeah.
Not always the best outcomes and your success story, but that's amazing.
Well, what I say is, I would encourage people to become foster parents. I mean, you don't know what these kids are having to experience. I mean, we heard stories of kids a little bit older hoarding food because where they're coming from, they don't know that they're going to get food, so they hoard food, they hide food. We've heard of kids, babies, being in withdrawal drug withdrawal right after they're born because mom's on drugs, and it's like, I can't imagine what these kids are experiencing at this young age that they shouldn't be experiencing. And so the hope is that for that temporary time that you're a foster parent, they get some normalcy. Mom and dad, they get the help that they need to be able to have the kid back. But I would encourage people to do it because you just don't understand what these kids have gone through or go through. And if anybody's thinking about it, I would encourage them to do it. It's very rewarding. Is it the easiest thing in the world? No. I mean, when you get a phone call at 2:00 in the morning, and a kid's in your living room at 3 with no clothes, the next day, your caseworker will go and buy them stuff, and you'll get we would get a car seat and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's traumatic for them. We had a little girl come into our house one night that very night, boyfriend had thrown all mom's clothes out in the street. It's freezing cold. Cops get called. It's traumatic for this little girl. And I mean, that's not things that any kid should experience. And so if you can give them a little bit of normalcy, it makes a big difference. And even if they're not, you don't adopt, they'll remember that stuff as they get older. And I think it's just, if we're a community that believes in what the Bible tells us, what God tells us, we've got to care for the widow, we've got to care for the orphan, and sometimes that is being a foster parent or adoption. But being a foster parent is critical for where we're at as a community and where we're at as a society. And so I would encourage folks to do it. If you're thinking about it, if you've got the means, if you've got the opportunity, do it. If you're now, your kids have all moved out, and you got room, become a foster parent. It's a great experience, and there's kids that need it. It's not for me to feel good about myself. It's so these kids have a place to go that's safe, and they're loved, and their structure. They want structure, and so I think that's it. The need is great, and so we need people to step up and do it.
Well, kids thrive on structure, and what you're doing and what other families are doing is extremely impactful.
Right.
But my next question for you is, how do you balance it all? Family, work,
my wife,
community.
Yeah, my wife is critical to all of this. And, I hit the lottery. I hit the lottery with her. Um, she stays home, so we've gotten the ability to stay home, to have her stay home, and she keeps everything in check. She allows me to be able to do all these kinds of things, like coming down here and doing this, being at board meetings on Tuesday, studying for board packets, talking to citizens, going and looking at a project, investigating somebody's water leak. All those things, that allows me to be able to do it. So without her, I wouldn't be able to do it. And she's raised. I mean, our kids are really good. She's done a great job raising those kids. They're smart. They're independent. They can think for themselves, and so she's done a good job of raising our kids, and can take care of things when I can't, and just allows me the flexibility to be able to do some of these things. So I owe all of it. I owe all of it to her.
Love that.
Yeah.
I need her to work on a guide for parents.
Yeah.
You know?
I
'Cause I have
agree.
4 kids of
Yeah.
my own, and I would just love to, to know some
Yeah.
of the things that really made a difference.
Yeah.
Different ages for kids.
We made the decision to homeschool early on. My oldest, who's 21 now, or 22 now, when we were living in Kansas City, we put him in pre-K, I think, something, really, really young. And she was thinking about homeschooling. And we talked and we are like, if you're thinking about it, do it now when they're young so you can figure out if this is what you want to do. And if not, you put them back in school. And so she started homeschooling at that age, and we just carried it on. We kept doing it. And even when we moved back here, we continued to homeschool. So they're with her all the time, right? And so I think that her being close to them, that close to them, and her being as good as she is, she raised them right. And so we don't homeschool anymore. So our 8-year-old, our 12-year-old, and then our just graduate, last year were all in school together for the first time.
Okay.
And so Elizabeth, the one we adopted, has been in school kindergarten, first and second grade. So she's been in school 3 years, but my other two, my 11-year-old or my 12-year-old and my senior, have been to school 1 year. And it was at the time that they were ready to do something different. And so now we don't homeschool anymore, but really her being able to pour into them as much as she did for those years has I think set them up for success. I mean, she's done a great job. She really has.
Well, listen, I know we've talked about you're a man of faith, and we've touched on a lot of things and what you pray for and everything, but do you want to talk about what servant leadership means to you?
Yeah, servant leadership is I think it's being in the trenches, understanding what people are going through, and doing the things that you can do to help. It's important for us, being an elected representative, it's important for me to understand who these people are that I'm representing. Being from here, growing up here, seeing our city grow over time, being I was a Woods Patriot, man. I was a Woods Patriot. I was a Chaffin Cougar. I was a Southside Rebel before it became the Mavericks. Going through that, understanding what kids are going through today, but also now understanding what their parents are going through as they're sending their kids to school. Understanding what a rate increase on a water bill does to people. Understanding just the difficulties that we all face. I think it's important that I understand what that means, what all those things mean, so that I can make effective decisions for them, so I can lead, so I can represent them as best as I can. So I think really that servant leadership is understanding where people are, understanding what they're going through, and trying to do my part in making that easier for them. So I think that's probably how I'd describe it, especially in the elected world, in the political world. You really got to understand where people are and where they're coming from.
And that's hard sometimes.
Yeah.
Because everybody's experiences are different,
Yeah.
but being able to listen to everybody and hear their concerns.
You know, it's kind of interesting. I will think one way on something, and somebody will send me an email or shoot me a text, or they'll hit me up on Facebook or whatever, and they'll say something that I was like, I've never even thought of that. And I say this is what's really interesting to me, and most of the decisions that I make are not informed by people. Like 99% of the decisions I make, nobody says anything about. And so that's scary for an elected person, because what I'm asking for is, you tell me, I represent you, all 90,000 people. I represent you. How should I vote? What do you want from me, right? What decisions you want me to make? What, from a strategy perspective, where should we be? And that gets informed by conversations and communications. But when we voted on our board meeting last Tuesday night, I probably got very little feedback from people saying, hey, I think you ought to do this on this. It just doesn't happen. And so it's important that you understand who the people are that you represent, but it's also important that you are contacting your elected representative, because they need to know it. They don't hear it. And so if you're not contacting the person, you got to make sure that you're electing the right person. Because if you don't know who you're electing, they're going to go in with whatever informed them, whatever their life experiences were, and that's how they're going to vote. That might not be representative of who you are. So making sure that you're communicating with people, or that people are communicating. That's why I try to be as active on social media, because I'm trying to understand. Like when I post something, I see all the comments, I'm reading every one of them.
We need feedback.
You need feedback, right? Yeah. And we don't get it. At least I don't get it. So I ask people, communicate with your rep. We'll go up to DC and we'll talk to Womack and Bozeman and Cotton. And I would never think to contact those guys, but they need it as well. Right. Your state representatives, your state senators, they need it. Your governor, they need it. They want to hear it. And what I find is that rarely happens. And so it helps that you know who the people are that you're representing. It also puts a lot of pressure on the citizens that you have to make sure, if you're not giving feedback, you got to make sure you're electing the right person. And that's a challenge. That really is a challenge. And so trying to get as much feedback as I can and trying to understand who the people of Fort Smith are and what they want and what their expectations are, I think is highly important. And I think that kind of plays back into the whole servant leadership piece.
Well, speaking on that, I feel like you've accomplished a lot of great things, but over the last 8 years, what are you most proud of?
Well, you start to think back and look back. That flood that we had in 2019 was a real challenge, and we came out of it. It destroyed a lot of things, right? And I don't want to downplay the people that might have lost homes or lost businesses, things like that. But that could have gone from a city perspective, a crime perspective. That thing could have gone south really bad. Our police force was stretched really thin. Being involved in the discussions with our police and fire, how they led the city, how they made sure that people were safe during those times. Hopefully, we never have to experience it again. But it really made me proud to be a Fort Smithian. How we came out of that, and there was a lot of challenges, but how we came out of that was really good. Coming out of COVID too, and how we handled that. That was a crazy time just in and of itself. But also you look at this. Our sewer issue has been an issue for decades. We got hit with our first administrative order by the Arkansas Department of Environmental Quality back when I was 6 years old, 7 years old, back in 1983. And at the time, I'm 7, I'm not paying attention to this stuff, but as I'm growing up, as I'm in high school, had I known this stuff was going on, I could have said something, but I didn't. I wasn't paying attention. But decades and decades of not addressing something, and finally, we've been negotiating with the EPA and the Department of Justice, and finally have funding to solve the problem. It's probably been probably one of the biggest things that we've done. And we did it without we've had to raise sewer rates. Sewer rates got raised prior to me joining the board, and some sales tax had to be reallocated. But back in 2023, I think we adjusted how we adjusted a 1% street sales tax and a 5/8 cent sewer sales tax, and we just reversed them. And that reversal allowed us to be able to finance bonds to be able to pay for the consent decree. And we're going to have to do some refinancing of some other bonds down the road. But this should allow us to be able to pay for it within the time period that we've negotiated with the EPA. I mean, it's still 11 years away, but we've got the funding for it, and it should allow us to be able to do the work that we need to do. I mean, we allocated nearly $100 million last year and into this year for consent decree work, and so sewer work, and so we're doing that. We just today we got the notification that it's been signed by a judge. Our consent decree modification has been signed by a judge, and it's not done because we got the work to do, but now we're out from under the thumb of the EPA and the DOJ, and we could just do the work.
The next steps.
Yeah, it's the next. I mean, now you're going to see hundreds of millions of dollars all go into the ground. I wish we had hundreds of millions of dollars to build buildings and things, but now we have hundreds of millions of dollars to fix our sewers, put them in the ground, satisfy our requirements from the EPA and the DOJ, and get on solid footing. And it's decades in the making, and we're now at a point where we just got to do the work, and we've got the funding for it. And so that's probably one of the bigger things in my 8 years on the board that I'm proudest of. It took work, a lot of frustration from people, but we're on our way. So that's really good.
That's incredible.
It's good to be able to say, okay, we got to get our work done. It's my responsibility to make sure the work gets done. It gets done timely, but also I can look towards something else, and I don't have this monkey. This not a monkey. It's a gorilla on my back about sewers. So we got the work to do now.
Okay, back to the citizens that you're representing. What are some of the things that happen behind the scenes? Maybe not everything, but some of the things that you feel like is important for them to know that they don't necessarily understand.
Well, it really comes, I think the biggest thing is contacting your board. They want to hear from you. We need to hear from you. We see a lot of that now from citizen engagement at our meetings. Sometimes those can be a little hairy, a little contentious, but it's not necessarily just that. Like, send me an email, hit me up on Facebook, something. I want to be able to hear from what folks are saying. Tell me about the problems that you guys are experiencing. There was a guy that reached out to me just this week, and he's like, hey, I've been trying to get this fixed for a long. It was a water leak. He's like, I've been trying to get this fixed, trying to go through normal channels, and I don't know what channels he's gone through, right? And so he's like, we've got this water leak, and now it's coming up pretty big. What can you do? And I took it, and I got with our Department of Public Works. They were literally out there that day. And again, I don't know what mechanism he went through. He probably shouldn't necessarily have to come to a board member. So whatever avenues that he was going down wasn't getting done, but he got me involved. We were able to get it solved. So we need to know what's going on. There could be people saying, we've had a leak on this street for 2 years now. I want to know that. Like, if you've got it, that's unacceptable. So we got to get it fixed. And so, if you're not getting what you need, I need to know that first. If you're going through the city and not getting what you need, I need to know that. But I also need to know what your problems are so I can fix it. So I think that's part of it. There are so mmany people. There's so many different opinions. There's so many different thought processes that people have that, it's tough to please everybody. But I think everybody's trying to do their best. But again, you need to hear from folks. I need to hear from people. We sit down in strategy sessions. We talk big picture stuff. I need people to inform us on that. I need people to speak into those things so that we can build the Fort Smith that everybody wants. So I can't say that enough. We want to make sure that we're hearing from people and able to solve some of those things.
I know of an instance where there was a leak, and part of your accomplishments, you reached out directly and got everything addressed.
I did? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Was it with you? Okay.
No, it was another business owner.
Okay.
And I just want to applaud you for that.
Well, again, it goes back to they might have seen it, he or she, whoever, might have seen that for years, and they might have called the city and said, hey, I need you to come out and look at this. And the city might not have done what they needed to do. But if you're not getting that answer, you got 7 people up there that want to hear that.
Yeah.
And, everybody's got a ward director, so you've got somebody that that is elected out of that particular geographic area of the city. You also got these 3 at-large directors that are voted on by the entire city. And if you're not getting what you need, you're my boss. Like I think all 7 of us need to understand, and I'm not saying that they don't, but the way the org chart looks, at the top is the citizens, underneath them is the board of directors. And we always need to remember that is our boss, and we have to make sure that we're doing what we should do for our boss. Mm-hmm. And so if somebody's got a leak for a couple years, that's unacceptable. And I need to hold somebody else accountable, but let's get it fixed first.
Yeah. Well, that was just a kudos to you.
Oh, well, that's good. I'm glad I could help.
Yeah. So what are you most excited about Fort Smith's future?
I think we're on the cusp of a lot of good things. We've got the F-35 mission, the Foreign Military Sales mission, and that's cool. But we're at like baby steps. The longer we go on, the more we're gonna see happen. The Singaporeans get here, the Germans get here, the Greeks get. All these different countries are coming. And I mean, what is there? I think we're in the double digits now in terms of F-35s, but we'll have F-16s coming. And then all the ancillary things that come around it. Lockheed Martin has got 100 people here, and they're hiring more people. I think it's going to be the ancillary stuff that's happening. I mean, there's hundreds of millions of dollars going on in building on that base. And then we're also going to see all the things around it. So Lockheed setting up their offices, different entities that come in and support that mission. We're going to see those here. We're going to see foreign people coming from other countries, moving here and being a part of the community. They already are. I mean, we've got Finns here. We do have Singaporeans here. We've got Poles here. I mean, it's just crazy. Fort Smith, Arkansas has got these people from all over, and they're fighter pilots. I mean, these are like the coolest of the cool.
Yeah.
And it's not only these foreign pilots, but it's also the U.S. pilots that are training them. We've got a couple that go to our church, and I mean, that is literally the coolest job. But they're training all these people on how to fly this F-35 and how the platform works, and I just think we're going to see a lot of things come out of that. We've had a lot of good things happening with like Hytrol, Mars, Mars Pet Care, new jobs coming into the area, and I think we're going to continue to see that. It's an exciting time for us.
So going into that, how do you feel like we continue attracting young families, professionals, and so on and so forth?
We've got to continue to build on what we're doing. We've got to make sure that we've got jobs. I think jobs are the key component of that. We've got to make sure that we've got jobs that pay good money. I mean, these pilot jobs, these mechanics that work on F-35s, these are really good paying jobs. So we need those. I remember when we first got the F-35 mission, the talk of in economic development world is an automotive plant. So if your community has a automotive plant where they're building cars, that's like the big thing in economic development, huge number of jobs. What I've heard is this F-35 mission is akin to that. So we got to get there. Like, it's not there yet. It's going to happen, but I think it's those kind of good paying jobs. We want to add additional physicians. We want to hire. When I see Mercy build a $180 million ICU and ER, that's good. When we see them building a $40 million cancer center, that's good. We want to see that thing. We want those skilled nurses. We want to see those physicians come into town. It's continued to building on those things. Is it as fast as we want? No, but we want to get that snowball going so it gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
Well, not only that, but you want to retain them.
You want to retain them.
Well, that's a whole nother.
So as you look at some of these, like a Mars Pet Care, when they expand, they're looking at their other facilities all around the United States, and if not all over the world, and they're making financial decisions based on all of these different facilities. And when they look and they expand and they add 200 jobs in Fort Smith, they could have done that somewhere else. And so what they're looking at, the whole environment, they're looking at the production, they're looking at what the city has to offer their employees. And so they are trying to make the best decision that they can financially and for their people. And so when they expand and they add $100 million of equipment, they're choosing to invest in Fort Smith. They're choosing Fort Smith over somewhere else. And so it's sometimes economic development is not bringing somebody new in, although that's part of it. Sometimes it's expanding what you've got here. And so we've been seeing that too.
Yes, yeah. So switching gears completely
Okay.
on you, but can we talk a little bit about a topic that I see coming up a lot here
Okay.
in Fort Smith, when you're talking about businesses in different areas of Fort Smith and the homelessness. Can we touch a little bit?
Yeah, this is getting to be a bigger and bigger problem. We've got a number of services that support our homeless, and that's good. I think we're a very giving community. I think we're a very community that looks out for each other, and so I think we've got some very, very caring people here, and we want to make sure that we have homeless that can get into services. But ultimately, what we're trying to do is get people from that. We don't want them to fall in homelessness. That's first thing. But when and if they do, we want to be able to provide them the support that they can get what they need, get things back on track, get a job, get transportation, and then move out of homelessness. I don't think that homelessness is something that somebody should stay in. We want to try to get them out of that.
It should be a transition.
It should be a transition. I don't know if we're always getting that. That's something that I'm trying to work on a little bit, but we've got to make sure that we're providing those pathways for folks out of it.
I think that's incredible. I think you said that.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, when we bring up homelessness, it gets pretty intense. There's different levels of homelessness. You've got people that are in emergency shelter. You've got the Hope Campus that are somebody's in a situation, they need a place to stay, they go to the Hope Campus. They can go to other, we've got other folks around there. You've got folks that are in transitional housing that are doing what we want, what they're trying to do. They're trying to get stability, get jobs, get transportation so they can get to the job. So we've got that, but then we've also got to a segment of the population that is unhoused, meaning they don't want services. They just want to stay camping in the woods. And what we find, and if you go down to some of the areas where that is, there's a lot of bad stuff associated with that. Those are not safe environments. They're not healthy environments. And usually what we see is a lot of bad stuff coming out of that. And that's something I'm trying to address. And it hasn't been the easiest. So we're trying some different things. But, sometimes people aren't on the same side as I am, and they don't think about it the same way I do. And that's okay. I mean, that's what we're a part of. But we've got to make sure that there's accountability and that there are pathways to get to where you need to go, but I can't allow you to stay in a situation that's unhealthy, that's not safe, and that is causing detriment to other people.
Yeah, I agree. So what is your hope for Fort Smith? We've talked about the future, but what is your hope for Fort Smith?
I hope that Fort Smith continues to grow. I hope that Fort Smith thrives. We've got a lot of really good people. I talked to a buddy of mine a few years ago, and he's like, he's kind of doing some consulting work, and he's, worked with some Silicon Valley companies. He's like, we have people here that are just as smart as your Googles, your Apples, your these were tech people he's talking about. And I 100% agree. We have phenomenal people here, super smart people, super intelligent people, super active people that can dream big. And that's what I love about being here. And I want Fort Smith to be the place that those people get to live out their dreams, that I get to enjoy what they do, their creativity, their genius, and that we all get to be a part of that. So I want to see it thrive, and I think it is thriving. Sometimes you got to look a little bit in terms of that thriving, and I think we're on the cusp of some great things. But that's really what I want. I want to see it thrive and do things that we never could imagine 10 years ago. Never could imagine. I tell people I spent probably 18 years trying to get out of Fort Smith as I was in grade school and junior high and then high school. Tried 18 years to get out of Fort Smith, and I realized I want to come back there. Never would have thought that, but I want to come back there. And so now I want to be here. I love being here. I love seeing what we're doing and what's happening. And I look forward to 10 years from now seeing things that I never would have imagined today.
Yeah. I want those people to know too, it's more affordable to live here.
Yes.
So come here, bring
Yeah.
the talent here.
Yeah.
Dream big. Let's make it happen.
You want to look at your property taxes here and compare them to
Right.
Johnson County, Kansas. We'll do that all day.
Yeah.
It's so much cheaper to live here.
Well, speaking on you trying to get out of here for 18 years and then obviously wanting to come back now, if you could talk to yourself, at 25, what is something that you would change, or what would you tell yourself, your 25-year-old self?
I'd say travel.
Yeah.
Travel. My advice to kids would be let's go somewhere. Like, go to college somewhere. I mean, I went to Fayetteville. I tell you, Fayetteville was so fun because you are introduced to so many different people, not just from your own state, all over. You're introduced to so many things. But go somewhere, experience it somewhere, and take that back. Bring that back here. What you've learned, bring it back here and apply it here. Because, there's a lot of good things that go on elsewhere. But we need that ingenuity. We need that, the dreams that people have.
The fresh perspectives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know so many people that I went to school with that did the same thing I did. They live somewhere else. They live in Florida. They live in Oklahoma. They live in Kansas City. They live in Dallas, right? And they're successful. They're really successful people. I'm like, I want that here. Bring that here. That's what I want. And so, I try to tell people to do that. Experience some things, but then bring it back. But I would tell my 25-year-old self, you've got no kids, travel, see stuff, travel the world, do what you can do. Because at some point, if you have kids, life changes a little bit.
It'll just be limited a little bit
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
You
yeah.
can still travel
But
with
take,
kids.
take them. Yeah, take them too.
Take them with you.
Yeah.
Well, back to you being on the board.
Mm-hmm.
What has made you decide to run for another term?
Well, I feel like there's some things left to do. We got some challenges we need to overcome. I'll be selfish. I feel like I can make the best decision than anybody else, and I feel like I've got a perspective that is Fort Smith centered, and not to say there's plenty of people that are smarter than me that know 10 times more than I do, but I feel like I've got the heart of the people, and so I want to represent them, and I hope they feel that way too. Obviously, we'll find that out, but I want, hopefully people look at that and say, he's doing a good job, and I might not agree with everything he does or every vote he makes, everything he says, but they'll tell you. The people will tell you if you're doing a good job or not. And heck, we can get to November and people be like, heck no, we don't want this guy. Hopefully that's not the case, but I think I represent the people really well, and I want to keep doing it. Now, at some point, and I think this is probably my last run, because I think there could be somebody else that can come in after me. I'll hopefully build on something that I do. So that's what I'm as of right now on July 22nd. That's kind of what I'm thinking. I want to go another 4-year term, and then hand it off to somebody. And hopefully we're in a better place. And but I'll say this: I love serving as a board of director. I mean, it's difficult. It's not easy. There's a lot of challenges. It takes time, but I love doing it. I love giving back to my city, the place that I grew up. I love being a part of all of that and getting to experience the things that I've experienced, make decisions that I get to make. I love doing it. I mean, wanting to serve another term, I've loved it. I've loved it every week. I've loved it. It's great.
What's a legacy you hope to
Oh my
leave
gosh.
with Fort Smith?
Oh my gosh. That's a good question. I hope I leave a legacy of being a good steward of what people have entrusted me for. Now, does that mean there's a project or there's a specific event? Maybe not, maybe so. But I want people to look back and said, that guy stood for me. That guy did good for this city. And, I think that's probably the biggest legacy is that I was a good steward of what people entrusted me with.
I think that's a great legacy. So we've covered a lot already, and I feel like on a personal level, rapid fire, really quick. Do you know what rapid fire is?
You say something and
You answer.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Do I have to be, when I answer, do I have to have a rapid answer?
Most of these, yes. Most of these, yes.
Okay.
Coffee or tea?
Dr. Pepper.
Neither one. Favorite local restaurant?
Oh my gosh. There's so many.
I don't have to put you on the spot.
When we moved back here, all we needed was a Chick-fil-A, I know that's not local, and a Geno's Pizza. And I love Geno's. Art's Barbecue. Diamond Head. So a lot of Tuesdays before our board meetings, you can find me at Miss Anna's. Dollar pie at Miss Anna's. Now, I shouldn't be eating pie, but they have dollar pie, and sometimes I'll partake in that. That's one of the.
What pie?
They've got a French silk pie, and they had something that I think it It was a chocolate pie, but it had a cookie crust. It was phenomenal.
I bet
It
your
wa-
wife could make it.
Maybe, but this was good. This was
Okay,
really good.
favorite hidden gem in Fort Smith.
Oh, favorite hidden gem. You might have to come back to me on that.
Neal, this is not very rapid.
No, I know.
Okay, favorite book.
I have two. Unbroken, story of Louis Zamperini. Phenomenal book. And I have a personal finance book, The Millionaire Next Door. Completely changed how I handled my personal finances. Both of those are phenomenal. Both of those are phenomenal.
Okay, morning person or night owl?
Used to be a night owl, it's morning.
Okay, what is usually playing in your vehicle?
A podcast, sports talk radio, something like that.
Okay, favorite vacation destination?
We did it once, Maui.
I've been there. It's
Oh
beautiful.
my gosh.
Yeah, I had a friend that lived there. I was a nanny.
Oh my gosh, it was the best place.
Yes.
The best place.
Now you might have to get your phone out for this one.
Okay.
But favorite Bible verse?
Okay, so I have,
You might have more than one.
well, I do, and it's really something that I got. I teach a Sunday school class, and so we went through the book of Ephesians,
Okay.
and it's and I probably won't read the whole thing, but at the very beginning of Ephesians, Paul is telling these people who they are in Christ. Now that they have Christ, who they are, and it's so awesome in hearing what he says. And I probably won't just read it, but he talks about who we are, that we're predestined, we're chosen, that we're justified, we're saved. You know, he's talking about all these things, and I go back, and we're given the Holy Spirit, all this kind of stuff. And you know, sometimes when you're in this role, it's very difficult because you hear a lot of things. You're told you're this or you're that or you're dumb, or you know people say a lot of nasty negative things. But when I read that and I read who God thinks I am versus somebody else, it really kind of puts it in perspective that that what God's done for me and what He thinks of me, and it just kind of I know who I am because He tells me that. And when somebody says something that's not that, I know really who values me, who God thinks I am, and that's more important. And so I can let that stuff run off. I can let the bad stuff kind of roll off my back, and it doesn't define who I am. God defines who I am. And so that passage, those first maybe 20 verses in the book of Ephesians is really all time for me. It is really helpful. So I don't get too high and I don't get too low.
Yeah. Staying right in the middle.
Yeah.
Okay, and let's see. What's something you want people to know or that people would be surprised to learn about you?
Well, I try to run a little bit. I'm not so good at it, but I try to run, try to exercise. I'm a pretty boring guy. I think that's when I was younger, I was very outgoing, I guess. Extrovert. I was an extrovert. I kind of think now I've kind of shifted into this introvert world. I like to kind of be in my own little world, but if I need to turn it on, I can turn it on. Yeah. So I guess I get maybe that a little bit.
Okay. And if you had more free time, what hobby would you pursue?
I would read more. I would study more. Kind of AI is kind of the thing now. I would love to play around, to study, to research more from an AI perspective. I mean, that's what I do for a living. I'm in the tech world, but I don't get to play as much, and so I'd probably like to do that a little more.
But you would have said golf or something.
Oh, it's expensive. It's expensive.
Okay,
I would like to do that.
I'm going to do one bonus question.
Okay.
If every resident of Fort Smith heard one message from you today, what would you want them to remember?
Go out, start that business, start that job. do what you feel like you need to do, what you want to do. We need people that that are willing to take the risk. A lot of people have things in their heart, things that they wanted to do, and I say do it. Let's do it here. You know, do it here in Fort Smith. Let's build something here that is that can't be built, that can't be duplicated somewhere else, can't be built somewhere else. Let's do it here. And we've got, I mean, there's a lot of great people that are doing great things around here, but I want people to do it. I want to chase their dreams and do it.
Just continue to do it.
Yeah.
Well, that kind of wraps it up.
Awesome.
And I want to thank you so much for coming
Thank
on.
you.
Thank you for showing your heart and your vision for Fort Smith. And best of luck
Thank
in
you.
this new election.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.